Alright, this is Christina with Best New Bands. I am with the boys of the SuperMashBros, and they're doing an exclusive interview with us. The show at Irving Plaza in New York City tonight has sold out. Congratulations. Are you guys psyched about it?
Yeah.
Looking forward to it?
Of course.
So let's go right to it. So you've been quoted as saying more of a computer nerd than a musician.
Me?
I think it was him.
I'm actually the other end of that.
You're the
I'm
musician
not
and you're the computer
No,
nerd?
you're thinking of Dick, who's doesn't really try. He does more of the
Production.
Okay.
stuff.
He's the computer nerd. He actually taught me to be a computer nerd before I was just a musician.
So what do you think are the strengths that help you guys as mashup artists? Like, what is it that you need absolutely to make it?
Well, I think we do have that blend between someone who's very technically efficient on the computer and someone who actually just writes music. And so that combination plus this guy's hilarious, and so whenever he plays any video, it's usually something really, really silly and fun. But yeah, I'd have to say we have a good blend between tech savviness and music.
So mashup has become something of a phenomenon, I would say, in the last 5 years. I think more so than I think any genre before that. So how do you think you guys can stay fresh and relevant when there's so many other artists who are starting to do this?
I don't know.
Cross our fingers.
Have a backup plan. I think as long as we're doing something that we enjoy personally and that we notice that other people are getting a kick out of, then we know that something's working. But until the point where we're like, okay, we can't really be doing this anymore, or no one's really dating it anymore, at which point we'll probably go to that backup plan. Yeah, so.
So a big part of what you guys do is like sort of incorporating different kinds of musical styles and listening to different kinds of music. So how much of it is music that you guys actually like or grew up listening to versus just trying to discover new stuff?
I'd have to say like 90-95% of it is stuff that I listen to, and 90-95% of it's stuff Ethan doesn't listen to.
I mean, growing up, you didn't listen to like anything besides classical music until like 2003, right?
That is true. I was the big music nerd, but it's definitely music that was sitting in our iTunes library before we started making mashups, so definitely stuff we were listening to.
So how do you decide whether or not a song is worthy for mashing? Like, does it have to sound a certain way, or?
For the most part, yeah. We want it to kind of definitely have a sort of dance influence, but a lot of the times we take things that we think people don't think could be a dance song, and we can try and kind of turn it into one. A lot of our new stuff that we're playing tonight actually, I think, is kind of stretching the limits of what could be a dance song.
Nostalgia is a big thing too.
Definitely memories from childhood, I have to say, is one of our biggest influences.
So how does mashup and like using a laptop or various tools to create a sound compare to like using an instrument? Do you think it's the same thing?
We're
or?
just trying to explain that to this cab driver. it's like I think it's you practice, you get the hang of it, you know the ins and outs, and it kind of turns out to being a very similar thing as playing guitar, I think. Only, I could compose a Word document at the same time. It's just like, it's weird because it was hard for us growing up in a generation where, computers were just always there for the most part, to explain it to this cab driver who probably isn't very, fluent with one. So it's like, it's very, whatever we're doing is very much so, I think, unique to our generation. And I think it is like a lot like playing an instrument because tons of people do it today.
So personal preference, venues like clubs or college shows?
It depends. I would arguably say college shows, but every time we're in New York, we get such a crazy fun crowd. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because we're in New York. If we had to play anywhere, outside of LA that was a venue, we'd come here.
Yeah, totally. It's not so much the walls, it's the kids that come out to the show. So as long as they're ready to get wild, that's probably the most important part.
So I have heard that the goal is when you perform to always get the people up and dancing or moving in some way. So when a crowd are you guys kind of critical of your shows? If like a crowd isn't doing what you want them to do you guys just sort of switch it up, or do you just like, does it always go well?
We've come across, I think, once where it didn't go too well. It was because it was during the day at fucking...
we were in like the middle of Missouri. Oklahoma. One or the other. And it was like a awkward daytime show and people just weren't really moving.
Yeah.
And what did we do? I just started playing. What did we go to?
I don't know. We started throwing out T-shirts and stuff at them. So like, not our T-shirts, like stuff from the school, I guess. If we're not into it, it's hard for us to even get into it.
Yeah.
But usually, I think we're pretty successful, and because I mean, kids are hammered before they even get there. Like there have definitely been cases where the showrunners come up to me and say, "Yo, like we had to carry this kid out. You guys haven't even gone out yet. The ambulance was just here because someone was too drunk." So,
that and if people are nervous to dance, I'm always making a total fool of myself while I'm DJing, so I think they get eased into it just by staring at me.
That does help though. Like when
Yeah.
the performer is comfortable, you're always gonna have a better time on stage.
I'm pretty loud and loose.
yeah, we don't really hold back too much.
So what have you guys learned as artists? Has it changed the way that you listen to music? Do you think that you've become more critical, or do you think that you're kind of always in work mode?
I definitely have an ear for things that I want to use or sample, and so whenever I'm listening to anything, I kind of have this like ongoing list in my head of, oh, that might work with this, but other than that, no, not really. Still listening to pretty much everything.
Any crazy fan stories yet? Besides for the ambulance one?
There was one last night. I don't know if that's acceptable to tell on this interview.
Okay. Well, you guys can tell me when I turn off the camera. So, you guys have 2 records kind of under your belt already. You've got, growing buzz about what you guys do. So, how do you, plan to continue to grow as artists, but still make, quality music? Because you're going to evolve, obviously, as artists. So, what's the strategy there?
Well, our plan right now is to finish up our 3rd mixtape, and after that we really want to start releasing like a track a month kind of a thing, and just staying in touch with fans a lot more frequently as opposed to, doing an album every year and a half or so. And I think a huge part of it is what Ethan does for our shows. Our show keeps evolving just visually because, I mean, let's be real, you go to see a DJ play and it's a dude standing behind a computer with turntables and some headphones. It's kind of not very interesting to watch. And so Ethan, with all the visual stuff that we have going on, definitely keeps people engaged, more so just audibly, but also visually. And I think that kind of is our next step into where we're going as a show.
So, segueing from that statement, do you think that there's, guys like deadmau5 or the White Panda, they wear the mask, or, there's lots of lasers or things like that at a Diplo show, and there's all these different elements that DJs sort of incorporate to keep crowds motivated and things like that. So do you think that those things are gimmicky? Or do you think that it's important to have that sort of performance element to what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone really does it just in a different way. Daft Punk has the whole pyramid thing or whatever they're doing nowadays, and then
I think it'll be Tron for the next 5 years.
yeah, it's just it just seemed like the most simplest thing to do. It made the most sense. We have these mashup songs. Why not do mashup video to it? And I try to convey the same exact thing as far as the feeling you get and the energy of it. So you'll have dance stuff or cartoons or just hybrids of music videos or clips. Like when we play shows, we play clips that are specific to that area. If we play a big football college, like we played Auburn, we play their highlights and their fight song and stuff like that, and that gets kids going. And we'll probably play some Jets stuff tonight. So it's kind of, you want to make, we have that to add it to make it a unique show for wherever we are. And yeah, I think it's just people got to do whatever they can to make sure kids don't get bored just looking at kids standing behind computers.
So what's your favorite instrument or toy that you're playing with when you're creating mashups? What is your go-to?
To be honest, we use pretty simple basic setups. Ethan edits everything in Final Cut, and I mean, aside from having big screens to edit on, for me, everything's done in Ableton, and at most I'm using a MIDI keyboard, and pretty much everything else is just a lot of clicking and typing.
So one artist or record that changed your life?
Ooh, that's a big one. Why don't you take this one off? Can I guess what he's going to say?
You can guess.
It's definitely some Foo Fighters record.
No. That is a good guess, though.
Or Queens of the Stone Age. He's a big fan.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Not that either. I think, as far as really changed my life, either Bone Machine by Tom Waits or or Dude Ranch by Blink-182. Those are two drastically different
Yeah,
albums.
if I had to go with drastically different ones, I'd say something by Elliott Smith and then Blink-182 for sure. Blink-182 was my childhood completely, 100%.
I still listen to it, so that's how you know, it worked.
So earlier you alluded to like the backup plan. A lot of musicians kind of, gung ho 100 miles per hour, and it's like, if I don't sign a record deal, I'm gonna hang myself from the ceiling.
Sure.
So you guys actually, went to school and made it fundamental that your education would be like one of the primary parts of what you're doing. So what would you say to musicians who are, trying to get in this, like keep concentrating on your music or concentrate on the backup plan as well, or what would you say?
I mean, it depends. I think part of the reason it works for us, doing this music thing and having a career in this type of realm, is because we don't take ourselves way too seriously. So we're able to have fun with it. We're able to, mesh with the crowd and like really just get down to the get down. But it's like, I think we definitely have other interests that we've wanted to do and have like a clear sight of since we were younger. And I think school is definitely an important thing. It depends. I mean, if you know that all you want to do is music, then that's probably all you should be doing. But I think luckily we have other plans in addition to it. So
Yeah, I mean, we're happy entertaining as long as people want us to entertain.
yeah.
After that, who knows?
So what's the worst part of this gig?
Traveling.
Yeah, lack of sleep.
We live in the airport and it's not fun.
I'm super tired. Oh, that's mine. Excuse me, miss.
Excuse me, that's my Marc Jacobs purse.
Irving Plaza security is obviously questionable at this at this juncture. So when can people expect the third mixtape?
I don't know, you should ask our manager that.
Wait.
when she gets off my ass for it. No, we really want it to be like the spring going into summer anthem. So let's cross those fingers.
And if fans or anybody wants to get in touch with you, can they do that via your Twitter and
Facebook.
I personally respond to everyone I can on Twitter, and if you want to tell me anything, I will probably respond to you. So go right for it. We don't have that many followers yet, to where I can't take the time for you guys.
All right, well, that was rad. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Anything you want to say to your fans?
I love you guys so much. And Mom. Hi, Mom.
Practice safe sex.
That too.